Hey, you. Come on over. Mom's not home till 6, and we're exploring the TV and movies that made you turn down the volume so your parents wouldn't hear. We're going to build our intimacy literacy and dig into all the weird messages we took from pop culture about sex, relationships, and ourselves. Because, let's be honest, this was all the sex ed we got. Today, I am joined by the favorite child, the one who just earned their parents' love with no problem whatsoever. Blair Somerville.
Ooh, my air horn's back. I love my air horn.
I've had coffee today.
And I am joined by Martha May Whovier incarnate, Veronica Dress.
Oh, the muscles.
She's a sexuality educator, coach, and intimacy director for stage and screen. Veronica, hello.
Hello.
What are we watching today?
Today we are watching a really fraught fave. Happiest season. Who is it though?
To my eternal annoyance, is not actually the happiest season.
I realized
the title
that.
is Happiest Season.
I realized that just yesterday.
I got on my nerves.
Tell me about this movie. For those who haven't had the pleasure, give us a quickie.
All right, so here we go. Our super short overview with some ambient background. It came out in 2020. A nice quarantine movie for us. It's an American rom-com directed by Clea Duvall. It follows a young woman who struggles to admit to her conservative parents she's a lesbian while she and her girlfriend visit them during Christmas. It is apparently semi-autobiographical about Duvall's experiences with her family. It is the first lesbian Christmas rom-com produced by a major Hollywood studio in 2020. So that's disappointing that it took that long, but not entirely surprising. Yeah. Did you know it was autobiographical?
I did not, and I didn't know Clea Duvall directed.
I had no idea.
I
would be really interested to know the details of what is autobiographical and what is not. But in any case, here's our quickie of the plot itself.
Okay,
for
take me
people
there.
who have not seen or people who've seen a long time ago. We've got Abby, played by Kristen Stewart, and Harper, played by Mackenzie Davis. They're a young lesbian couple who've been dating for almost a year. Abby has disliked Christmas since her parents died, so in a bid to make her love Christmas again, Harper invites her to celebrate the holidays with her family in her hometown. Abby sees this as the perfect opportunity to introduce herself to Harper's parents and to propose on Christmas morning.
Oof.
However, on their way to the family home, Harper reveals she lied about coming out to her parents, fearing it would interfere with her father's mayoral campaign. She promises that she will come out to her family after Christmas, but asks Abby to pretend to be her straight roommate for the holiday. Abby reluctantly agrees. At the house, we meet the quirky little family. Harper's politician dad, Ted, played by Victor Garber, her perfectionist mom, Tipper, played by Mary Steenburgen, and
That's
her
her
sister,
name?
Sloane. Yeah, that's her name.
Damn, that's rough.
Which I probably didn't pronounce it right, but that is her name. Her sister, Sloane, Allison Brie, and Jane, Mary Holland. Abby is welcomed by the family as Harper's orphan friend who has nowhere else to go for Christmas. Things get increasingly uncomfortable, especially when she meets Harper's exes, Connor, played by Jake McDorman, and Riley, Aubrey Plaza. Aubrey Plaza appearance. Yay! Abby also starts questioning how much she knows about her girlfriend when she sees Ted and Tipper's high expectations and Harper's competitive relationship with her older sister, Sloane. Yeah. Ted, throughout the movie, is trying to impress a possible donor from city council to contribute to his campaign, which Abby unwittingly jeopardizes when Sloane's kids slip an unpaid-for necklace into her bag during an outing to the mall. So she gets labeled a shoplifter. Ted and Tipper think it's better to keep her away from upcoming social events. And as Abby starts to feel even more of an outsider, she learns from Riley that Harper has publicly denied her sexuality since high school, which makes her worried about their future. At the family's annual White Elephant Christmas Eve party, Abby, tired of being ignored and pretending to be straight, is relieved when her bestie, John, Daniel Levy, arrives to pick her up. Harper privately begs her to stay, and as they're about to kiss, they're caught by Sloane, who then prepares to expose their relationship to the family. However, it turns out Sloane has her own secret. She and her husband are getting a divorce. The sisters get into a public fight, ending with Sloane outing Harper as a lesbian.
Oof.
And Harper at first denies it again in front of everybody. Abby is heartbroken. She leaves the house with John. The two of them have a talk about their stories of coming out to their families. Abby's parents were loving and accepting. John's dad threw him out of their home and didn't talk to him for 13 years. So then John reminds Abby that coming out can be really scary and has nothing to do with Harper's love for her. Realizing that her fear of rejection caused her to hurt Riley and may also cause her to lose Abby, Harper does come out to her parents and says she's a lesbian after the party. This inspires Sloane to also reveal her secret. And then Jane also tells her parents how she's been neglected over the years.
Yeah.
Afterward, Tipper confronts Ted about the emotional pain their daughters have experienced due to their parenting choices. Harper goes after Abby to apologize and confesses she truly loves her and wants to build a life with her. Touched and with encouragement from John, Abby forgives her and they kiss. The next morning, Ted apologizes to his daughters for making them feel they always had to meet his standard of perfection. He gets the call from the donor who says, I'll support you, but only if Harper pretends she's, not gay and suppresses any details about her personal life. And Ted says, no, then I don't want your money.
Yeah.
They take the family picture, and Abby's included this time. And then we get a little time skip. 1 year later, Abby and Harper are engaged. Jane's a best-selling author with her fantasy novel.
I know.
Ted won the mayoral election. On Christmas Eve, the family goes to the cinema and they watch It's a Wonderful Life.
The cinema.
As the film starts, Abby and Harper smile at each other lovingly. The end.
The end.
What a movie.
What a journey. What a journey.
I had never seen this movie before this. Had you seen it before?
I have, in fact.
So this was new for me. But
tell
not for you.
Tell me what your takeaways are.
Oh, God. There's a lot of takeaways. So rom-coms are interesting for me because I love a comedy movie. Romance can be cute. I have often been very annoyed with rom-coms, and I've avoided watching them for a very long time, and I sort of forgot why until I watched this movie. And the way in the last quarter, they just sort of blast right on through every problematic behavior throughout the whole movie for the sake of the let's kiss and make up and have the happy ending.
Right.
That has always really irritated me about rom-coms.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
There were things about it I liked, but there was a lot I didn't. The whole time I was really hoping it was going to lead up toward Aubrey Plaza and Kristen Stewart being together.
That's exactly right. In the year 2020, when we were all watching this and all on the internet and at home alone, that was the large consensus from what I remember, is that everyone was like, Harper sucks, be with Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah.
Which tracks.
Yeah.
I think there is something really challenging about this story in that we begin seeing Harper and Abby, played by Kristen Stewart, who's just really the protagonist, if we're honest,
Yeah.
in a really lovey-dovey world, right? We get some context building from the jump that these two love each other very much. They have a very sweet life together. It seems like Harper's kind of a golden retriever and Abby is a little bit of a black cat girlfriend. And I struggle with movies where a person's relationship to Christmas is a big plot point. I don't understand why we can't just let people not be into Christmas, but this is a Christmas movie, so apparently that's not allowed. But we, I think, have what begins as a really sweet relationship where it's like, we're building our life together. I want to be a part of your family and your universe. And I think that Harper was kind of love drunk and invited Abby to Christmas without really being thoughtful about what that would mean. And I think for me, that was the big frustration of this whole film was when all the antics are unfolding, right? So they get to the holidays, and it's a really hostile environment for Kristen Stewart. Like, it's a very hostile environment,
Yes.
not just because of having to hide one's identity in a way that they were not prepared to have to do, but to add in the layer of classism and just general elitism that it sounds like either Harper wasn't aware her parents were this, like maybe she can't see her family so clearly because she's in it, right? And just deeply wants their approval. But it felt like asking a lot of Kristen Stewart's character, Abby, to do this at all, right? And I love that we have the Dan Levy character who is the best friend who takes over all of Kristen Stewart's pet sitting gigs that she had lined up for the holidays. And we see throughout these phone calls where he chimes in and you see him like buying new fish because he couldn't.
Yes. He forgot about the fish.
He forgot about the fish, killed the fish from the jump. And he really chimes in as the voice of, for me, it's the voice of reason. I don't know if that's how he's supposed to be, because a lot of his takes are pretty negative or pretty like anti-marriage, anti the patriarchy, anti-heterosexual, like compet takes on the world.
Yes.
Because Abby has this very fairy tale desire of like, I'm going to meet her parents and I'm going to propose on Christmas and I'm going to have this new family, and really contorting their queer relationship to fit into the systems and structures of heterosexual relationships in a way that seems a lot more complicated than perhaps she thought it would be.
Yeah, because she was even going to ask Harper's dad for his blessing, right?
Yes. Oh my God. And I wrote down a quote. I have like a hilarious note on my phone when I was watching this last night. And my first note is the Rudolph BDSM heart, which we can get to.
The Rudolph BDSM.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember that at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's right.
He says to her, what you're actually doing is trapping the woman you love in a box of heteronormativity. It's from the jump.
Which is ironic because that is exactly what Harper does to Kristen Stewart's character.
Exactly right. Yeah. From the beginning, there's this great scene where, you know, Harper is trying to cheer up Abby and is like, let's go on this rooftop to see all the pretty Christmas lights of the town. And so they do, but people are home. It's a very white audacity moment. And the people who are home are doing this Mrs. Claus Rudolph BDSM sort of role play, like dom sub relationship. And that's who interrupts them. And that is like a sweet, funny aside I found. Just a touch of whimsy.
I thought that was cute.
Yeah. I think when I first saw this movie in 2020, I very much was screaming at the TV at Harper, being like, you are so unkind to your partner. And it is unfair to put Abby through this whole rigmarole of a holiday weekend with these unsafe people. And at the end of watching it this time, my partner and I had a conversation about it that was like, I don't know that I could have taken Harper back after she repeatedly, a slightly deeper dive into examples, right, is like Harper continues to not be brave, right? I think that is like the theme that we see is Harper prioritizing the peace and the status quo and the love and acceptance of her family, quote unquote acceptance, at the cost of actually being herself, which we know is like the big story in a lot of queer coming of age stories is like, is being myself worth the risk? And what I think makes Harper so cringy throughout this whole movie is that she doesn't just do it with her parents, but she does it with her friends from high school. She does it with her ex-boyfriend that her parents are pushing on her still, and has the audacity to ask Abby to literally stay in the basement, to literally like hide who she is,
Yeah.
And then put her at risk by sneaking into her bedroom to fuck in the middle of the night. And
Yep.
she's much more willing to risk Abby looking poorly in front of her parents than she is herself. And that feels very selfish to me.
Yes, it's extremely selfish. And because she won't even even just from okay, so our fiction is we're roommates and friends and you don't have anywhere to be for Christmas, so you came home with me. She lets her family be completely rude the whole time about being an orphan and never once steps in to say hey, whoa, can you not talk to my friend that way? Can you be respectful? Can you not be complete freaks about the fact that her parents are dead? What is wrong with you guys? So even just from a friend perspective, she completely fails. And I made a whole list of all of the things that I was there's no taking back Harper after this, because Harper, not only do we see the stuff in the movie that she does, we also get the implication of things she's been doing throughout their entire relationship.
Like what?
So, okay, she lied about coming out over the summer. So she's been lying about that to Abby for a long time. Like you said, she did not give her an informed choice about being asked to be closeted for this trip until she was trapped in the car almost all the way there.
Yeah.
She lied to her before the movie ever started about outing and abandoning Aubrey Plaza in high school, and also left out details about her ex-boyfriend in stories that she was telling Abby about high school. We get that moment where Abby's like, wait, you didn't tell me that your ex-boyfriend was there when you told me that story. When her parents are like, oh yeah, tell the story again. And she completely ditches Abby and ignores her at every single social event. She stays out till 2 a.m. with her ex-boyfriend and then gets mad at Abby about it when she's just like, were you okay? That was weird. You didn't contact me at all. And we're just at the end of the movie supposed to pretend none of that ever happened. There's no conversation about it. We're just moving past it because we kissed and it was cute because it was snowing.
It was snowing.
And part of why that frustrates me so much is because I really feel like it can reinforce these cultural norms that a big sweeping gesture or a single good moment can count more than the accumulation of hurts in a relationship and should mean we don't ever revisit those things.
Right.
And this is why I think a lot of this type of movie and this type of cultural belief, I think, is why so many couples wait too long to start couples counseling. And then they're sort of surprised when they come in and they're like, actually, we never resolved this. And I've been pissed off about this and heard about it for years. And we never actually talked about how you trapped me in the car and then asked me to go in the closet at your family thing when I was meeting them the first time. And I'm still hurt about it 10 years later.
Right. Yeah. That saying, I love you, I'm sorry, is enough to leave everything else unsaid. And granted, we all have different processing needs and processing styles. Some people, it does take 2 years to realize that they were upset about that thing in the first place. And a lot of folks, that's not the case, right? A lot of folks do realize how much that hurts. I worry that this movie, to an audience that maybe isn't watching it with we watched it with a critical eye from the jump, right? We watched it because we knew we were going to have this conversation this day. So we were already with a specific lens is how we were watching this. And for me, that scene at the very end when they get back together very much felt like if this were real life, they would be talking behind the Love's gas station for 2 hours and then they would kiss. Yeah. Right? What would really happen is that they would be sitting in the car and having this conversation for hours and hours. And then we would get the kiss moment. But for the sake of television and the sake of the movie, that's not what we get to see. But you're right. The problem is that in lieu of any real vulnerability culturally for us to acknowledge out loud that, we don't do conflict well. We don't know how to ask for what we need. We don't know how to generatively have difficult conversations. Then we have this as our guide map that, you just say, I'm so sorry. You're my family. I wanted to yell at the camera, then why? And you treat your family like shit. So I don't know that I want to be your family. I think we actually deserve better than that. What I was... To kind of go back a little bit more chronologically, I was amazed that they were on the way to Christmas with the family, and sweet Kristen Stewart is so excited to actually maybe be building new happy memories about Christmas, because what we find out later is that her parents were really into Christmas and they both passed away when she was 19. And so she's just really avoided Christmas as a thing ever since, because it just really highlights that they aren't there. So we see her really getting excited, like, oh my God, what if I actually get to build new neural pathways about Christmas? And that is when Harper springs it on her that actually I've been lying to you about a lot of things.
I know. That was the moment I was like, stop the fucking car. I will walk back home. Ain't no way. You trapped me in the car, sprung this on me at the last minute, revealed you've been lying to me for months, sat with me while I packed my bag to get in this car with you, listened to me talk about your parents this whole time. And now that we're like 10 minutes away, you said, actually, by the way, can you pretend to be straight the whole time and we're not in a relationship? Thanks.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
And the way that Harper talks is when they are having these kinds of conversations that are more authentic and direct, the energy Harper as a character brings to those conversations is panicked, overstimulated, and very much groveling, right? And we see this later at their holiday party when Abby is trying to leave because of how she treated her, that she starts to freak out, and Abby ends up having to do the emotional labor for Harper because she's so activated. And so it is this classic, like, it feels manipulative to me. Whether or not it is intended to manipulate, it very much does. That Harper is so, I love you and I really want this holiday to be great and I'm so sorry. Like, can you please understand? Like this very intense energy coming at Abby, who loves her person and doesn't want her to feel these stressed out, overwrought feelings, and so ends up sacrificing what she wants in order to make Harper feel less overwhelmed and sad or upset. But ultimately, it's just shirking responsibility because you're right. These conversations could have happened any moment up until this car ride. We even have a scene where Abby is making breakfast the day after she gets invited to the holidays with her and is all happy and excited and making her breakfast. And we see Harper be a little bit on the fence. And Abby even checks in about it, and Harper chooses not to say anything. Granted, this would make for terrible TV, terrible movie, etc.
Sure.
Maybe. But this feels very much like an ambush. And then they get to this house, which, okay, I want to talk about this.
Oh my God.
I'm put
this fucking house. Put the glasses on.
Every holiday film includes a rich mansion. Right? Every holiday film.
There's got to be a huge mansion. There's got to be an enormous, ridiculous Christmas tree.
Multiple. They have a Christmas tree in the kitchen.
Oh my God. I didn't even. Oh, yes, you're right.
There's a Christmas tree in every damn room. There's even a tiny ceramic Christmas tree on the nightstand in the basement room that Abby is staying in.
Yeah.
I mean, every rom-com is just wealthy white people. Right? Most of the time, that's the story that we're getting to see, which from the jump is setting this very capitalistic expectation of Christmas, that everybody, for it to be Christmas, TM, means that you have to have a Christmas tree in every room. You need to be in a beautiful house. You need to be going to these wild ass dinners. The dinner they go to the very first night that they arrive there with the family is...
I think it was at a country club.
It's at a country club that later Dan Levy did research on and was like, you know that they didn't let women be members of this country club until 2000, into the 2000s. And a fun aside is that Dan Levy has a tracking device on Abby's phone the whole time. And so just shows up everywhere and knows all of these things. But as soon as she walks into that house, we see Harper become different. And I think it's interesting in the lens that we have from our Queering Your Holidays conversations, because I felt like I had more empathy for Harper watching it this time than I did the first time I saw it. Maybe that's growth. Maybe it's regression. I don't know. It didn't excuse Harper's behavior, but I think in the lens of how we've been conversating about going home for the holidays and the ways in which many people feel like they time travel back to their childhood version of self and back to those group dynamics and coping skills, and their best self does not show up. it feels like we got to see that in a really visceral way in this movie. We saw Harper show up and immediately become this waspy mayor's daughter who quite literally has had to compete for her parents' love in a way that's a very visible, right? Not just a turn of phrase, but an actual group dynamic in their family. But to be the partner watching that unfold is something we haven't talked about. We have not talked about what it's like to watch your loved one morph into somebody completely different. And we see that there's like a dinner conversation. So, okay, the very first night they get there, they go out to dinner at this country club. Unbeknownst to anyone, the parents, Victor Garber and the mom who is in every single Christmas movie that's ever happened. She's also the mom in Elf. And in Step Brothers. She's the mom in Step Brothers as well. She's a comedic mom character.
Comedic mom for Christmas especially.
They want Harper to get back with this guy Connor, who's, classic white dude. That was her ex-boyfriend. So they invite him to the dinner. And then when they're leaving the bathroom, they run into Aubrey Plaza, who is pitched as Harper's ex. What we later find out from Aubrey Plaza, because Aubrey and Kristen Stewart keep running into each other at these different events and connecting, because Aubrey Plaza is out as gay, not by her own design, but actually because Harper was not great in high school. She outed her. But we see like ghosts of exes past happening at this event. And every single time Harper chooses to just be passive and be really a victim to the circumstance and be like, well, I didn't know they were going to be here. What was I to do? And what we end up seeing as a cautionary tale is that when Aubrey Plaza and Kristen Stewart end up hanging out at a gay club where Jinx Monsoon is the drag queen.
And Ben de la Creme.
Yes! Oh, it was so good. I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic.
That was fun.
Aubrey gives the full story that, yes, they were each other's first girlfriends and they loved each other very much and they would send each other little letters and leave them in each other's lockers. But when Harper's friends found one of the notes in her locker, instead of saying, yes, I've been dating this person, she says, yeah, Riley, Aubrey Plaza, is obsessed with me and she has this big crush on me. She's a lesbian. And so she outs her rather than being brave and taking this silver platter moment to say, yeah, actually, we are dating. And the same exact pattern plays out over and over again in this movie. And nobody's happy. Every single person in this family, except for Jane. Jane is the star of this film. Jane, the kooky sibling.
I love Jane.
Jane is the star.
She's real. She's like, yeah, I'm weird, but I'm doing my own thing and it makes me happy. So stop fucking making fun of me. By the end of it, she finally gets to where she can say that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the mom even says later, she's like, the only reason Jane isn't absolutely fucked up is because we gave up on her when she wouldn't stop biting in pre-K. Like the parents' name that they have given up on Jane because she chose to be authentically herself. And so I do understand the cautionary tale that creates for the other two sisters who are holding so tightly onto reputation and optics and parents' love and adoration rather than themselves. But the reality is, it seems like they are not with their family that often. It's like...
No, it doesn't seem that way. And we get the clear message that, like, it is the parents who have drilled into them that optics are the most important thing the whole time. As soon as we get there, the mother's like, I'm doing an Instagram for our family for your dad's mayoral campaign. And she's constantly trying to get the perfect photo op, the perfect photo that portrays them just right for the Instagram. I mean, so it's super clear where it comes from. And we can be sympathetic to Harper to some degree and also be annoyed that, like, all of the crises she finds herself in were avoidable by her own actions. Like, she could have said something sooner and not be in the crisis where she's full panicking. And then, like, Kristen Stewart's taking care of her because Kristen Stewart is hurt, and that makes Harper upset.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that we talk a lot about the coming out process more broadly, right? We talk a lot about that there is no right time to come out, that there is no one who knows when it is time except for you. And some people choose to never come out. Some people choose to not make it a big conversation and just people find out how they find out when they find out, right? There are a million ways to navigate this. And I'm keenly aware that Harper is showing us an example of that in real time and the complicated nature of bringing someone you love along for that ride in ways that don't feel intentional. Because we see Kristen Stewart crying so much, being like, she's not choosing me. She doesn't love me. Yeah. And Dan Levy has, as you said in the recap, this really beautiful conversation when he pops up at the final night being like, I'm here to take you home. These people are nuts. Ubers are $1,000. I've been tracking you. We got to get you out of here. That Kristen Stewart was really lucky that her parents responded to her coming out as a kid by saying, we love you and we support you. His parents kicked him out of the house and he didn't speak to them for 13 years. And and you know, Dan Levy says so beautifully, right? There's this long spectrum that exists in between. But that moment when you know that things are now different, that chapter changes, is terrifying. I thought that bit of dialogue was a really important bit of dialogue for
I loved that.
For all of us, but I think specifically for Abby to hear, because it was because it is interpersonal, that it felt like over and over again, Harper was choosing fear over her, right? What ends up happening is that, like you said, we find Sloane's husband making out with someone in a coat closet right after Sloane walked in on Abby and Harper kissing. And so these sisters who have only ever known their parents' love through competition with each other are literally like middle school fighting with each other physically to keep the other one from outing their secret to the family in the middle of this high-profile New Year's Eve party where there's like big donors for the mayoral race. And Sloane says it. Sloane says Abby's a lesbian. Or Harper's a lesbian and Abby is her girlfriend. And we see this awful moment of Harper saying, she's lying. I'm not a lesbian. She's lying. And fucking Aubrey Plaza's in the room at this party and makes eye contact with her. And it's, right? It is history repeating itself that she... Right. It's not like she's learned this lesson once. She has an opportunity to rewrite things and chooses not to. Yeah. And it's so hard to look at.
It is. And I liked that the movie, like, sort of like you said in that conversation they had about coming out where Daniel Levy's really clear, like, you have to do it for yourself. It can't be for someone else. Yeah. And it's also okay to want someone who's at the same stage of readiness or coming out that you are. Yeah. I thought it was nice to challenge the idea that, like, our partners are always doing everything they do at or to us. A lot of romance media can feed into that. And I thought that this did a pretty good job of being clear that, like you said, it obviously impacts Harper's partners, the choices she's making. But she's not doing it about her partner or to or at them. It's about herself and her own fear and her family dynamics, as much as it does impact her partners. And that's kind of a complicated thing for people to navigate, that it can impact other people, but not be about them.
Yes. And there's a space to follow up, check in, and then readjust, right? Yeah. Calibrate where they are at. I had an experience truly the week after Trump was elected the first time where I ended up at an evangelical wedding and was asked to be the Abby. I was asked to go back in the closet and be my partner's friend for the duration of this event. And it was truly just a wedding. So it was not a whole weekend. It was not this entire experience. And it felt terrible. And we didn't expect or know that I was going to have to be doing that. There was that it was sprung on me, and not my partner didn't spring it on me because they knew and didn't say anything. They didn't know that this was going to have to be happening either. And at the end of this wedding weekend, I very clearly was like, I won't be doing that again. Like, that felt really bad in ways that I don't think I realized it would. And so don't ever ask me to do that again. And to her credit, she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry we had to do that. And maybe we didn't have to do it. Maybe they could have been uncomfortable. But we chose what we chose in the moment. And We, like good queers, processed it for 35 years. And now feel like really solid about how I would move through a situation like that. There wasn't any of that we got to see.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, I get why that doesn't make for super compelling movie watching to see someone be in therapy for hours and hours or sitting in their car, like talking and crying for hours and hours with just like one camera shot. But I feel like there was some sort of, I don't know, supercut allusion to,
Yes.
but we're going to have to talk about this more.
Absolutely.
There could have been a little something to indicate like, we obviously have some shit we need to work on if we're going to have a healthy relationship after this.
Yes, absolutely. There could have been a conversation montage in the gas station. It could have even been comedic, right? Because they're in this public place having this big conversation. People are trying to get into their spot to get gas. It's a whole thing, right? There are many ways.
Well, and like, I guess I'm curious too, given that culturally it's such a norm that the movie doesn't feel like they need to make any reference to it at all. We're able to just move right past it and watch the movie. And yeah, well, of course they made up and kissed and just moved on. Given that that's like the messaging we get as a culture, I'm wondering, where do you think you learned that that's not going to work for me? I actually do have to process this and we're going to talk about it later. We're not just going to kind of like sweep it under the rug and pretend it didn't happen.
I suspect, like many good millennials, it has been through watching the long-term effects of doing that from our families. Right? I know I grew up with extended family and family of origin that was the norm too, to sweep things under the rug or have the blowout and then never revisit it and just wait for time to do its thing and everyone just kind of head back to their normal ways of interacting with each other. And for me, I saw that wasn't sustainable. That wasn't leading to the kinds of connection and intimacy that I want for myself. So I think that's largely how I learned, was through seeing some trial and error and also not being great at it either. I also went and got my bachelor's in counseling. So I think like
that helps.
That helped, right? I think it's a conversation that we don't, or at least I don't have enough, or perhaps the people around me don't have very often. And it did come out of watching this show last night with my partner about like wanting someone to choose the brave thing and having so much compassion for them being in a place where that is too big for them to touch. And you, as the Kristen Stewart / Abby character, get to decide for yourself what growth journey you want to be present for. Like Dan Levy says, it's valid to say that you want to be with someone who is ready. That is okay. Yeah. And I have interacted with lots of people who have felt like, oh, well, we broke up because I was newly out and I was figuring all of these things out and they couldn't be there for that. And that can feel really harsh when you hear someone say just the bite-sized version of those stories that, oh, well, you're just figuring yourself out, so that means you're not good enough or you're not ready. And for so many queer people, there has been a very hard-fought road that gets us to a place of quote-unquote readiness. I don't know that we're ever ready. We're always figuring things out. And there is something actually really freeing about being new at something. I think there's actually a lot of space for creative possibility. And it is also a valid choice to say, I don't know that I am willing to put myself through the bumpiness of your baby steps. Not baby in that they're small, but baby in that they are messy and involve a lot of falling down. It felt really clear in the immediate aftermath of, so they have this conversation with Dan Levy. They come back in the house and Harper has circled back with her parents and is like, it wasn't a lie. I am gay. Abby is my girlfriend. And they have this big cathartic family talk. Where they're like, we've always been fighting for your love and feeling like we have to earn it. And
everyone immediately becomes ready at the same time to be vulnerable and open and like, yeah, you know what? Let's just talk about our feelings now.
I know.
And take accountability for the ways in which we've each participated in this dynamic.
I know. And the mom is like, I've always wanted to try karate and I felt like it wasn't elegant, so I couldn't do it. Like, it's sweet and it's very satisfying to watch, and it does instill hope that people can change. I think there is a part of our brains that really yearn to see that played out, especially for those of us who are the ones trying to do that inner work and hoping that people will grow and shift and change someday.
Yeah.
But still, Kristen Stewart chooses to like get her stuff to go. And Harper says, but I did it. But I said it. I did what you wanted, was very much the energy of Harper going up to her, being like, I don't understand. I did edit undo. I told my parents I'm gay now. Now don't you love me now? And it's like, this was not what it was about.
Too late.
You treated me really poorly and were willing to sacrifice my wellness for this dynamic. And that is the part that I think is really hard to reckon with.
Yeah. Yeah. In some ways, I think it would have felt a little more real and like a stronger character movie, maybe a little more realistic if Kristen Stewart had stuck to that. And like, yeah, they just broke up at that moment and that was it. It is less of a fun Christmas movie if that is how the movie ends. And so I get why they ended it the way they did. I still am annoyed.
I know.
Okay, also, another pet peeve of mine that this movie does and just moves right past, once again, the idea that I have decided I'm ready to be engaged. So I'm going to plan a proposal and just surprise on my partner without talking about it with them. I hate that idea. And I hate that it is so normal that even in the beginning, when Dan Levy's like making fun of Kristen Stewart for wanting to get married in the first place because he disagrees with it and says it's super heteronormative, he doesn't even bring up like, and you didn't even talk to her about the proposal plan and like that you want to get engaged. Does she want to get engaged? Have you talked about money? Have you talked about your value systems? Well, have you talked about anything?
Have you gone to see Blair?
Have you gone to counseling at all? Have you done a workbook together at least?
If you haven't done a workbook together, what are you even doing?
You haven't even book club read a self-help book about relationships. What are you doing?
I really loved the line that one of the quotes I wrote down was Dan Levy saying, yes, because there's nothing more erotic than hiding your authentic selves.
Yeah. Yeah. He had a lot of great lines.
He really did. It felt like in many ways, this movie does call us all to reckon with the norms and the protocol of engagements and the relationship escalator as it stands, right? That like, of course, we've been dating and living together. So of course, the next step that we don't even think about going to, but we just automatically autopilot go to is engagement. Like, of course, that's what happens next. But the fact that she was ready to propose and had never even met her family yet. And then Dan Levy mentions that later. He's like, I always thought it was weird that you had never met each other's families because honestly, like that's something that you can't get out of even if you want to half the time. And the fact that had never happened. And we all get to decide what feels like the quote unquote steps we want to have moved through, conversations we want to have had before choosing something like marriage, and the decision or the conversations of what does that marriage even mean to us? Like when I say marriage, I mean this. That conversation that she just began to have with Dan Levy, I really wish had happened with Harper, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, I mean, it's my obvious anxiety showing when I'm like, there's a million preparation steps you need to be doing before you do this. But
good self-awareness.
So, that's very me. That's me. And also I stand by that a proposal should not be a surprise because like you said, does she like marriage? Is she pro-marriage? Does she agree with Daniel Levy that she hates it and would find it offensive to be asked to be someone's property? Like we have no idea because they haven't talked about it at all to our knowledge in the movie.
Yes. I think that the proposal itself can be a surprise, but not that a proposal might happen soon. That it should be talked about, right?
Engagement should not be a surprise. The proposal itself as an event can be, depending if that's what the person wants. Like some people love a surprise party and other people will kill you if you try to throw a surprise party for them. And you
Are
really
you in the latter
know,
camp?
Yes. Do not throw me a surprise party.
Okay, noted.
I'm the person who I'll pretend I'm having a good time during the surprise party because I know that's what you're supposed to do socially. And then afterward, I'm going to be furious with you and I'm not going to let it go.
Okay, I will never throw you a surprise party. Now I know.
Yeah, do not. That'll go in the behind the scenes video footage of the problematic dissolution of our podcast.
It all started when
the
Veronica...
surprise party will be a tipping point.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask what our healthy ever after is, but I feel like this whole conversation has been our wishes for everyone.
I know. So, yeah, I mean, I guess our healthy ever after was, I wish they would have gone to some damn therapy at the end of this movie instead of just kiss, makeup, done.
Yes. I wish that we got the montage of them having a gas station hour-and-a-half long conversation about their feelings. Yeah. And I think that can be done in a time-lapse sort of way that could have been very fun.
And very comedic, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or alternative, a little rom-com, another, lesbian classic. My 2 ex-girlfriends are now dating, and Aubrey Plaza and Kristen Stewart get together.
Yeah, because we could have even had the 1 year later moment, and it is like they had stayed broken up, but now they were friends, and we see Harper is going to Christmas with her family with a new girlfriend, and we see her call Kristen Stewart, who's pet sitting for her with Aubrey Plaza, her girlfriend.
Yes.
That's the queer representation right there.
That's what I'm saying. That would be really peak queer representation, I think. Not as neat of a little bow, not as fitting a queer story into a, I guess, more traditional heteronormative rom-com structure. But I think that would still have been cute. And I think it would have been relatable and funny.
Yeah. All right. We'll submit those rewrites to Clea.
I'll call her on the phone. I'll let her know, and then we can get the
ball rolling.
The remake going. We're doing lots of remasters, remakes.
Why not this?
I don't see why we can't remake this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been 5 years since 2020, so I think it's time.
Yeah.
So, was this the happiest season for you, Blair Somerville?
Sorry. Was this happiest season for me? No, because it makes me mad that they dropped the. And that's important to me, and I'm petty. So I'm going to say no. Was it happiest season for you, Veronica?
It was realistic season for me. And I think that feels better.
I'll take it.
Mid-season. This was mid-season.
Mid-season. Perfect.
All right. Well, I'm going to go and reach out to all of my ex-boyfriends and invite them over for a holiday dinner with my partner. What about you?
I'm going to keep working. I got to put another 100 hours in on this giant landscape painting that I'm making.
That's perfect.
For a white elephant party I'm going to. But I think it's going to turn out great.
Perfect. All right. Love ya. Happiest season to you.
And also with you.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Mom's Not Home Till 6. Pitch us your healthy ever after. Leave us a rating or review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find more from us by following me, Veronica, on Instagram at the.dressrehearsal, or you can support us on Patreon at the Dress Rehearsal Studio. We'd like to extend our gratitude to the queer and trans communities, past and present, who have made it possible to be the people we are today, and to you for listening. Now be sure to go change that TV channel to something appropriate. Catch you next time.